Hiya and welcome to another video on the Transit van build. Today I'm fitting the Chinese diesel eater. I've done my research and I've gone for this one. You can see on the box there it's MaXpeedingRods. The reason I went for this is, having done the research, as I say, it seems that most of these base units are pretty much the same, possibly even made in the same factory. So the difference is the accessories, if you like, that you get with it. So things like the fuel pump, even the fuel line there. A lot of them have the green fuel line, which can apparently cause problems. So it's recommended to upgrade to this. It's firmer, clear or white line. So that's one thing. Things like the exhaust, some of the fittings. This one comes with some exhaust wrap there as well to help protect that. The controller is not the standard controller, it's an upgraded controller. I believe the fuel pump is as well. Lots of different bits that are just that little bit better than the average. So that's why I've gone with this. It's going in there. One of the few things I've had to buy is the turret. Not put the edge on there yet, so you can see this is quite deep. So I needed a deep turret. So I'm going to drill through the floor there. So we've got to get through that floor and into the metal of the van. That's the hole saw I'm going to use for that. Along here is coming a bench, so the diesel eater will be there under the bench. There's the bench frames, so I've had the frame in place so I can see where it fits in relation to the frame, and then we'll just try and show you under the van. The light won't be very good, but you might be able to see it. So if you can see here, there's where are we? There's a bolt stuck out. That was an old loading hook that I couldn't undo. I cut it off at the other side, and then that's where the side of the step is. We've then got this beam here, the side of the fuel tank. So I've got this gap in the middle, which is just wide enough to take it. So I need to be pretty careful with the pilot hole to get that central in there, and that will take it underneath. So the exhaust and the air intake will come through here. I'm gonna drop the tank, that's the plan anyway, and gonna drop the tank, yeah, and take the fuel line directly into the tank. The sender, I believe, is just behind the inlet here, so I'm gonna need to drop that to get the fuel line in there, and away we go. Right, so here we go then, making another hole in the van. You'd think to get used to this, but there's always an element of trepidation. You get one chance. I think I need to take that out. Right, so that's a 12mm ply out. Insulation next, and we're in. There's the insulation and some of the supporting beam. problems with this actually sewing through the van, and I think the biggest issue is using a cordless drill. You can see I'm using a corded drill, which has more power. Job done. It looks like I worked that out spot on from what I've cut off there. Let's have a look underneath. Yeah, exactly where I wanted it. Happy days. Look at the smoke coming off of there. That's the heat build up. So the next job is just to file this off, neaten it up, get some hammerite on the bare metal there, and then we'll, once that's dried, we'll seal this up and get the turret in. While that's doing that, I'll assemble the heater. Perfect. Right, so a couple of things to note about this turret. The first thing is, the one I've got is 60mm deep, and that literally just clears the bottom of that, so it's absolutely spot on. So that's the first thing. Obviously you've got the floor of the van, the insulation, you've got a 12mm ply board on top of there, and then the vinyl flooring, and that fits absolutely perfect on that. What this does, this is the air intake, this is the exhaust. Pipes for that feed through there and under the van. This one is for this, which is the fuel inlet. So we're taking it under the van and we're going to tap into the van's fuel tank. It did come with a separate fuel tank which you can use inside the van, but we're going to take it into the van's fuel tank. So that's under the van. So the other consideration, if we're doing that, here's the wiring loom, and this is the wire for the fuel pump to power the fuel pump. So that's got to go under the van. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this connector off, drill another hole about here, I think, or here. Which side is the loom? The loom's on this side, so drill another hole about here, take the fuel pump cable through, and then reattach it underneath to connect that in then obviously to the fuel pump. Well, when I said I needed to drill another hole in here, and I have, you can see the discoloration down there. That's the heat from the drill. I didn't realise drilling stainless steel was as difficult as it is if you don't have the right drill bit. Cobalt tipped drill bit, I believe, is the one for the job, which I didn't have. Managed to do it with a combination of a masonry drill and a good old Dremel to the rescue once again. So yeah, we got there in the end. But yeah, if you're drilling one of these, if you're doing basically what I'm doing, be prepared for that. Right, so putting the actual unit together, making the attachments and such, the first thing is to get these bolts in. There's four of these studs, and then I screw down with the bolts there. So just threading these through. Took the gasket off to do that, just to make it a bit easier. I will say 2 of these have gone in dead easy, straight away with the hand. That one is as far as it wants to go down with my fingers. You can see that's sitting rather prouder than that, so I'll grab a pair of pliers and see if I can just ease him in there. While I'm at it, I will say, look at that, The seat cushions have arrived. That's the only thing on the van, if you like, that we could have perhaps made, that some people make that we haven't. We got those in. So yeah, but they've arrived. So I'm sat here now, I've got the power on, got some lights because yeah, it's wet and windy out there. Typical British winter for you again. And yeah, it actually looks kind of like I'm sat in a camper van for the first time. It feels good. Anyway, back to this. Yeah, I'll grab a pair of pliers and see if I can sort this out. Okay, so that's done, and that is another example of why everything takes so long when you're doing a camper van. You think, screw these in 30 seconds, a minute. No, they won't go right down. They will go right down. See, the bottom thread goes right into the hole at the bottom. That's the same on the mole now. But the last bit you need to finish off with some pliers or something. You can't do it hand tight. I couldn't anyway, not on this one. So that's those in. So next thing, get the flange back on, and then they come with some nuts to tighten that down and fix the mounting plate to this before I start to put the pipe work on. Right, so there we go then, that's on. Just a couple of things to note on doing that. This is just exhaust wrap. It came with this kit, doesn't come with them all. I've never used it before. I think if I'd have put that on a little more sparingly, I could have probably got to the end there, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm not going to change that now. It's not essential at all. Accessing there is obviously quite difficult. So I've used that to do that. Obviously you're going to need one of those to get in there and tighten that, but they're all on nice and tight and ready to go. Just got to get the fuel line on there, and then that's ready to fit. Just one more thing to note with this on the orientation of the pipes there. This, as I say, make sure you get these the right way around. That's the air intake, and that's going to be pointing towards the front of the van when it's in place, so it's taking in clean air from the front of the van, or relatively clean air. This pointing towards the back of the van, so exhausting, taking the exhaust fumes away downstream from the airflow, away from the van. So yeah, they're both in the right place. So just be aware of that. You don't want to get that under the van and then have to start manoeuvring these and trying to twist them round and such. You could damage the pipes while you're doing that. Next job then, before installing it, I've got some heat resistant sealant. This one's plumber flu from Screwfix. It's silicone sealant, but it's heat resistant. This is good up to 300 degrees centigrade. So what we're going to do with that, as you can see there's a void, and that goes around to there. It's because of the shape of the floor. So there's a void in the bottom there, so I'm going to seal that. I don't want stuff sort of splashing up or whatever from the road and getting into there, obviously. So I'm going to seal that. Some sealant down there, and some sealant around the top of there to make that airtight. Again, don't want any fumes or whatever coming back up through the floor of the van. So I'll seal that down, and then it's a matter of just dropping this in. There's some bolts then, screws that come with the kit again, to screw that down to the floor once I've got it in the right orientation. That's the next step. There we go then, that's applied there. It was very runny, comes out very very quick, which explains why it looks a bit of a mess, but that's not important for what we're doing. And I've sealed all around there and filled the void there at the bottom, so we're ready to just drop that into place. There we go then, that's in place, and that, well, so that's where we're going to take the duct in. Not quite in the middle, cut that off there and take the ducting through to there. And the bluette, I've decided, is going to live over there. So there's 4 of these self-drilling screws, bolts. Not sure what they are really. Got a bolt head on, haven't they? But yeah, 4 of these just to secure that down there on the mounting plate. Oop. There we go. 1, 2 there, and 2 the other side. Just one thing to watch with this. There's a hole in the bottom there. During the combustion process or exhausting, some liquid is formed that enables it to drain through, so it needs to be that way up. If you do it any other way, then the water will collect in there and it'll quite quickly rot through that. So yeah, just pop that on now. Right, so there we go then. So the hair, I'll get my words out. The air hose is pretty straightforward. So there's that handy little bracket there. Just ducked it over there. Stuck the air filter on the end, and that's done. The exhaust. Well, a couple of things. I don't know what this is. If you know, please let me know in the comments. And also, obviously this is going to get quite hot, or very hot. Now I've attached the bracket there, which I think is for the exhaust, so I've used that there and then attached it at the top with tie wrap, and also attached that with the tie wrap. If that's going to get too hot and damage those tie wraps, and you've any experience of that, please let me know and I'll rectify that. But at the moment, that's what I'm going with. It's all pretty secure and looking good, so I'm happy. You can see a bit of the sealant come out the bottom there. I'm just going to leave that, but again, I'm happy with that. That's sealed that up nicely from the bottom of the van there, so I'm good with that. The silver there is hammerite. It's not bare metal or anything, so I'm not worried about any rust or anything down there. So that's all good. So as far as I'm concerned, at the moment at least, that's the bottom of the van complete. As I said, please do let me know if you know what that is, and also if you think what I've done there might cause a problem with the tie wraps securing the exhaust. Yeah, I've gone twice round on that one. One tie wrap just on there, and then I put the bracket on, and I've gone through the top of the bracket there and then through these holes that were already drilled, so doing it that way. Now, as I said earlier in this video, I was let me make my way around, gonna tap into the tank here. I was going to tap into the tank, the sender unit for that. Actually, you can just make that out. I think there is the sender unit. I was going to drop the tank and do that, just to save a bit of time, and for the time being I'm going to put a smaller tank actually in the cab under the seat by the diesel heater, and use that, I think, just for now, and may change back to that at a later date, but I'm going to do that above, so I'll show you that now. Sorry, just to say on that, the reason I pulled this extra fuel line out is so that I've got line in position when I do come back and tap into the tank, because I will do that at a later date, but just to save a bit of time and effort at the moment, I'm trying to get this thing finished. I'm going to leave that just for now, because it looks like it should be a straightforward job, and it looks like it won't take very long. And do a few bolts, drop the tank down, cut that off, feed it through, happy days. I can see it not working out quite like that. Right, so the next thing I need to think about is connecting this up on the power. There's the main connection from the wiring loom. That quite simply plugs into there to connect it up. Coming off that, we have these, which offer the power. They'll go straight into the fuse box there. Connect that up with the fuse. There is an inline fuse on that as well. I need to check the ampage of the fuse. I think it's 15 amp, but I could be wrong. So that goes into there. There's that connector there, which is for the diesel pump. So that connects onto the fuel pump. And one more, which is that one there, and that connects to the control panel. There's a control panel. Can't just see that at the minute. It's in the box over there. I can't reach that, but there's a control panel. That cable's going to come up the back of here and fit the control panel somewhere back there. So it's above there and nice and easy to get at and see from in the van. Right, well, the negative connector's gone on fine, but the positive is too big to fit in there. I could change it, but what I'm going to do is just use the Dremel there and just grind that down a little just so that it fits. Right, so the small tank's arrived and there it is, connected up. So I'll show you what I'm doing. So we go from the small tank through the pipe to the filter, which is mounted there. Now that is running up slightly at that point, just that short stretch of pipe. They do advise that ideally it should be downhill all the way from the tank to the fuel pump, and then from the fuel pump to the heater uphill. That's not always possible, and in this case it's not possible, so it does go uphill slightly there. Then around back down through the heater, or through the turret at the bottom of the heater. There we go, underneath. Right, so through the turret into the fuel pump. The fuel pump is also mounted on an angle. It's about a 30-degree angle. Sorry, I don't know if you can see that there, but that's pointing up. There we go, that's better. That's pointing up. That's because of the way that these work. They get air bubbles. You sort of get air bubbles in the pipe, and it helps it to get rid of those on the fact that it's pointing up. So that goes, can we see that there? Back up there and up through the turret and into the heater. What's the other thing I wanted to mention here? Yeah, the exhaust, the silencer should be the lowest point on the exhaust. It should be downhill all the way. Again, the water, any vapour that condenses in there, works its way down to there, and then out of the little hole there in the bottom of that. As I said earlier, that needs to point downwards. So that's that. So that's it. I did another hole here to bring the cable in for the electrics on the fuel pump, so that's connected up. Took that as far out the way from the exhaust as I could, and I actually see if I can just do something just to hold that there a little bit as well. Don't know if that'll work, but yeah, there's not a lot of slack or anything in that. It should be fine. But yeah, I don't want that going on there. But yeah, that's it. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to fuel it up and see if we can get it started. Okay, so there we go then. We have power. To prime this, it has what's called a manual pump mode, which says press these two for 2 seconds. Manual injection oil mode. And that should start to draw fuel. My fan's kicked in. Oh wow, that's instantly took fuel there. Wow. Okay, so this is the second time I've set the manual fuel mode, so it's just starting to pump again. So that's where it got to the first time. It took it about 5 minutes to get there. So it looks like it's about half full on that chamber, so it's about the same again to fill that before it starts going out the other side by the looks of things, down to the pump, and then it's got to get up. So maybe, I don't know, maybe another couple of times. Okay, I don't know if you can see that or not, but yeah, it's finally going through there. Third time of asking. Hopefully we'll have ignition. Right, so you can see that, I'm sure, coming through clearly there. And I can hear the heater firing up above, so maybe this time we're in business. That just scared Lynn to death. Loads of smoke out there. I'm pretty sure that's just a first time of running kind of smoke. I hope so. We'll see if it goes off shortly. Yeah, I think it stopped. That was a big plume of smoke. Is that normal? Let me know. Right, so there we go. Yeah, another milestone in the van build. The diesel-liter up and running. So as I said, we've got all the services going now. That's great. Not sure what the next video will be. Might be the bed, might be finishing these benches. Whatever it is, we're getting towards the end now. You can see the end, which feels great. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next one.